Why does wanting more from life sometimes make us feel guilty? It's a common emotional contradiction. We're told to be grateful for what we have, yet a quiet voice inside urges us to reach for more. Consider the story of one young professional who had everything: was stable job, a nice home, a loving partner, yet felt a persistent whisper that this isn't it. She told herself she was just being ungrateful, spoiled, or unrealistic, and tried to bury the desire. That whisper only grew louder. This tension between gratitude and ambition, between appreciating what is and yearning for what could be, can stir up deep feelings of guilt and confusion. In this deep dive, we'll explore why this guilt arises and how to reconcile the "I should be grateful" narrative with the "I want more" truth. Many of us grow up hearing messages that equate wanting more with greed or ungratefulness. Be happy with enough, don't be greedy, or think of those who have nothing. Such words instill the belief that desiring beyond our current lot is morally wrong. Over time, this turns into an internal voice that triggers guilt whenever new ambitions arise. For instance, one writer admitted she stayed in an unfulfilling career longer than she should have because she kept telling herself, "I already have more than most people. It's selfish to want anything more." This illustrates a key point. We often conflate gratitude with settling. We fear that wanting more means we aren't thankful for what we have, when in reality, it's possible to appreciate our blessings and still aspire for greater fulfillment. Guilt as a mask for fear. Psychologists note that the guilt about wanting more is frequently a proxy for fear. It's not that we're selfish or ungrateful, but rather that change is scary. In other words, we tell ourselves it's virtuous to stay content, when deep down we're afraid of failure, judgment, or venturing into the unknown. Staying with the status quo feels safer. Your mind may be using guilt to keep you in your comfort zone. As Coach Meredith Walters puts it, trying to talk ourselves out of our desire denies the unique spark within us and smothers our joy and sense of meaning. The real lapse would be betraying our potential due to fear. Let's slow this moment down together, because what you're feeling, it's not confusion, it's the collision of two very real, very human truths. So here's what I want you to do. Pause this video if you can, or open a blank note on your phone. Ready? Write 2 letters, just 2. Letter 1 starts like this. Dear gratitude, speak to what's already in your life that you value, not performatively, but personally. Maybe it's safety, maybe it's growth, maybe it's the fact that you made it through something that should have broken you. Now, letter 2, dear ambition, say what you still want, the next dream, the higher version of you, the thing you don't let yourself name out loud because you're scared it sounds like you're ungrateful. And then I want you to look at both letters. Ask yourself this: what are they both trying to protect? Because maybe, just maybe, gratitude and ambition were never enemies. They were just waiting for permission to exist in the same room. Pause, take a breath. You're not bad for wanting more. You're not greedy. You're evolving. Let's keep going, because in the next part, we're going to talk about inherited guilt, the kind you didn't ask for, but you're still carrying. This next part might hit deep, but stay with me. Guilt for wanting more is often amplified by cultural or familial influences. Children of immigrant or low-income families, for example, commonly internalize a duty to be content because their parents had less. If your parents sacrificed greatly so you could have a better life, you might feel that pursuing even more success is an insult to their struggle. This is sometimes called first-generation guilt, and it runs deep. One first-gen college student described achieving her family's American dream, an Ivy League education and prestigious opportunities, yet feeling a gnawing twist in stomach each time she advanced further from her humble roots. The more successful I become, the more I stray from my parents. A rope ties me to my roots, she wrote, articulating the sense of abandoning her family and community by wanting a different life. Ambition is tangled up with guilt. Every step upward can feel like leaving loved ones behind or seeming ungrateful for their sacrifices. Likewise, people from marginalized backgrounds may be taught, implicitly or explicitly, that they should be grateful just to have opportunities at all, making any additional desire feel presumptuous or taboo. These internalized messages, "You should be thankful you even got this far," create a ceiling of guilt that keeps people from dreaming bigger. Does being grateful truly conflict with striving? The brain science suggests gratitude and ambition can not only coexist, but even reinforce each other. Gratitude isn't a sedative that lulls us into complacency. In fact, research shows it's more like a fuel that can energize goal pursuit. When we experience sincere gratitude, our brain releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter heavily involved in motivation and reward, along with serotonin, which boosts mood. This neurochemical hit is why gratitude practices often make us feel uplifted and encouraged. Far from killing our drive, gratitude can actually increase vitality and enthusiasm to work toward our goals. Studies have found that people who regularly count their blessings report more energy, optimism, and determination. They even exercise more and have better work outcomes on average. In one experiment, participants who kept weekly gratitude journals ended up making more progress on important personal goals over a 10-week period than those who focused on hassles or neutral events. The grateful group felt more motivated and energized to achieve their aspirations. Gratitude seems to send a subconscious message: life is good and can get even better, instilling confidence that we deserve positive outcomes and are capable of attaining them. It's worth noting that the recent popularity of gratitude has sparked debate. Critics like author Barbara Ehrenreich have argued that an attitude of gratitude might breed self-satisfaction and passivity, making people so content with where they are in life that they won't push for more or challenge injustice. But the emerging consensus in positive psychology refutes this cynicism. Gratitude, when genuine, is not just a pleasant, passive emotion, but rather an activating, energizing force. It tends to inspire action instead of apathy. Researchers at UC Riverside identified multiple pathways by which gratitude propels self-improvement. For example, feeling grateful often deepens our sense of connection to others, which paradoxically motivates us to become better. We want to improve ourselves, to honor the help or kindness we've received, and to be worthy of our relationships. Gratitude can also spur us to pay it forward, encouraging us to achieve more so we can give more back. In short, a healthy dose of gratitude can make our ambitions less toxic by alleviating the constant anxiety of never having enough. As one psychologist observed, ambition is much less likely to devolve into destructive drive or despair. Life can still seem worth living thanks to gratitude. The brain's reward circuits respond to gratitude in ways that can increase motivation, resilience, and even goal-directed behavior. The key is understanding gratitude as a source of strength, not a signal to hit the brakes on growth. Never enough versus shouldn't I be satisfied? It's an emotional irony familiar to many high achievers. You have a list of successes and things to be thankful for, yet the moment you pause, a voice in your head scolds you for wanting even more. Gratitude, which should feel good, instead starts to feel like pressure. I have no right to be dissatisfied. Another part of you is driven to keep climbing, to never settle. This tug of war can create a cycle of guilt. You're grateful for what you have, but not fully fulfilled. And then you feel ungrateful because you're not fulfilled. High achievers often grapple with a few contradictory beliefs. Ambition means I'm ungrateful. Achievers might secretly worry that their restless drive indicates a lack of appreciation. If you've reached a milestone, a promotion, a personal best, a comfortable income, society expects you to be happy now. Wanting more can seem like an insult to your past self, who would have been thrilled to be here. This mindset overlooks the reality that human desire is a moving target. Achieving one goal naturally gives rise to new goals. Reminding oneself that continual desire is normal and healthy can relieve the false guilt of, I'm never satisfied. You can love where you are and aspire to more. These feelings aren't mutually exclusive. In fact, people who sustain success often manage to enjoy the little things in the present while still eagerly seeking new challenges. If I get too content, I'll lose my edge. On the flip side, some high performers resist feelings of gratitude or contentment out of fear that it will make them complacent. They've tied their identity to constant striving. The idea of saying, I have enough, terrifies them. as if gratitude would snuff out the fire of ambition. This belief can become a self-fulfilling trap. By avoiding gratitude, they rob themselves of joy in the journey and carry a constant undercurrent of inadequacy. Gratitude need not equal complacency. Do not confuse gratitude with complacency. Being thankful for today doesn't mean you stop planning for a better tomorrow. In practical terms, you can work hard and strive to improve, and yet, in the same day, take time to appreciate the good around you. Far from weakening your drive, this balance keeps you fueled and grounded. It prevents burnout and the hollow kind of ambition that is never satisfied with any achievement. In Aristotle's terms, ambition is healthiest when balanced between deficiency and excess. Too little drive and you stagnate, too much relentless drive, and you live in perpetual dissatisfaction. Gratitude is the counterweight that keeps ambition in the healthy range, ensuring that your pursuit of success is constructive and enabling rather than destructive and inhibiting. Why do I still want more? Something must be wrong with me. This thought often haunts high achievers during quiet moments. It can be disorienting to realize that external success doesn't automatically translate to inner contentment. Psychology suggests seeing it as evidence that achievement alone doesn't fulfill deeper needs. You can be intensely grateful for your accomplishments and aware that certain values or passions remain unexpressed. In other words, I'm not ungrateful, I'm unfulfilled, as one person realized, and those are not the same thing. Wanting more out of life might mean you seek growth, meaning, or impact that your current situation hasn't provided yet. Recognizing this can transform guilt into curiosity. What is that more your heart is asking for? Perhaps it's more creativity, freedom, human connection, or a new purpose. High achievers can use the tension as a signal, not a shame. It's pointing toward the next evolution of themselves, not necessarily toward mindless greed or materialism. Ultimately, many driven individuals find peace by redefining success on their own terms. They learn that gratitude and ambition can be partners rather than enemies. As entrepreneur Gary Vaynerchuk and others have noted, one can be fiercely ambitious while staying profoundly grateful. Gratitude becomes a fuel for ambition, not a brake. When you know why you strive, your passion, your mission, and you appreciate what you have, ambition is no longer a hollow race for external validation, but an ongoing journey of growth. The internal conflict isn't always easy to resolve, but acknowledging it is a first step. Feeling grateful doesn't mean you have to stop growing, and wanting to grow doesn't mean you're ungrateful. Embracing that paradox is a mark of emotional maturity in many high-achieving people. I want to walk you through something I've never shared publicly before. It's an exercise I give myself when I feel that old guilt creeping in. Close your eyes for just a few seconds, or soften your gaze. Take a slow breath in and out. Now ask yourself, when you think about wanting more, whose voice do you hear? Really think about it. Is it yours? Or is it someone else's? Does it sound like a parent, a teacher, a religion, a community? What does that voice say when you get excited about growing, earning more, expanding? Now, here's the most important part. What would your voice say back? Pause. One beat of silence. Because that's the voice that gets to lead now. Your next chapter doesn't need old programming. It needs your permission. Take a moment to breathe into that. Reflect on it. Even write it down if you need to. Because up next, we're not just talking about emotional release. We're talking about how to build inner safety so you don't keep shrinking in the name of being grateful. Gratitude is a beautiful emotion when it's authentic. But what happens when gratitude is forced, performative, or used to shut someone up? This is the dark side of the gratitude ethos, sometimes called toxic gratitude. A searing critique in Medium described it as an originally authentic emotion transformed into an ideological obligation, a mindset that whoever complains is ungrateful and whoever is ungrateful is weak. In this twisted form, be grateful stops being a positive practice and becomes a muzzle on honest emotion. Think of the times you've heard or told yourself some version of, "You have no right to feel bad. Others have it so much worse." This sentiment may come from good intentions, but it often lands as invalidation. More often, it induces shame, effectively saying their pain is illegitimate. One author put it bluntly, "This kind of forced gratitude is no comfort. It's a slap in the face. When gratitude is demanded in the face of suffering, it crosses into spiritual bypassing, using spiritual idea, positivity, thankfulness, to skip over the hard work of acknowledging hurt or injustice. People may start to deny their true emotions, maintaining a facade of thankfulness because they've been taught that anything else is negative or ungrateful. In the long run, those suppressed feelings don't disappear, they fester and breed resentment or depression. Such misuse of gratitude can even have a social dimension, writes Alpha 1976, noting how be grateful for what you have can be a subtle call to accept the status quo. If people simply count their crumbs and smile, who will push back on injustice or strive for more equity? In this sense, compulsory gratitude has been used to quell ambition and discourage dissent. For example, an employee feeling undervalued may hesitate to ask for a raise because I should just be grateful to have a job. A Harvard Business Review piece warns that excessive gratitude can turn into a trap that makes us complacent and hinders self-advocacy. Failing to balance gratitude with self-worth can lead to missed opportunities for growth. Bottom line, gratitude becomes toxic when it's used to shame legitimate desires or to bypass real problems. If you've ever felt pressure to smile and say thank you when you actually needed to say, I'm hurt or I want more, you've felt this toxicity. As one blogger noted, trying to force yourself to feel grateful for things in your life that are frankly pretty crappy likely backfire. We must allow space for dissatisfaction as a catalyst for change. True gratitude is voluntary and comes from the heart. Cultural guilt, the taboo of wanting more when others have less. Beyond personal psyche, our feelings about ambition and gratitude are often molded by cultural narratives. In many cultures and communities, there's a taboo against wanting too much, especially when others are struggling. This is essentially comparative guilt. How dare I seek more success or happiness when people around me, or my ancestors, or my peers back home have so little? Such guilt can be especially pronounced for those who bridge two worlds. For example, first-generation immigrants or individuals from historically marginalized groups who have achieved upward mobility. They carry not only their own hopes, but the weight of where they came from. The story of Becca, the first-gen Mongolian-American student at Brown University, illustrates this cultural guilt vividly. Even as she stood on the threshold of the American dream her parents had envisioned, Ivy League diploma in hand, she confessed, "Then why do I feel like I am losing?" Each year she soared to new heights her parents never knew. She felt the rope to her roots tighten. The guilt of abandoning our parents' way of life is a heavy burden for many first-gen achievers. They juggle gratitude and loyalty to where they came from with the drive to fully embrace opportunities their parents never had. It can feel like a betrayal to want a life radically different from one's family or community. There's a latent code: don't outshine others, and if you do, be quiet about it and be thankful. This ties into what psychologists call survivor's guilt. Just as a survivor of hardship may ask, why me? Why did I get this good fortune when others didn't? The narrative, I should just be thankful to be here at all, can become an emotional leash, keeping people from pursuing further goals because it feels selfish relative to their community's struggles. Similarly, many cultures emphasize collectivism and discourage standing out. In such contexts, asserting that you want more can indeed be taboo. It may attract labels like greedy, arrogant, or unfilial. For example, children are reminded of the sacrifices made for them and urged to be content as a form of respect and humility. While humility is a virtue, it can morph into a guilt complex where any personal aspiration beyond the family's immediate expectations feels like ingratitude. This can imprint the idea that ambition is a luxury for other people, not those who should be grateful just to have escaped hardship. Another layer is the global context guilt. With awareness of vast inequality, certainly empathy and social conscience are important. They make us mindful of privilege. But berating yourself for wanting a happier or more abundant life doesn't actually help those less fortunate. If anything, using your opportunities to grow and give back is more beneficial than shrinking your dreams out of pity. As one blog author pointed out bluntly, pursuing your passion takes away someone else's chance. That's a lie. Your ambition properly channeled can create value for others rather than stealing from them. For instance, If you build a thriving career or business, you can then mentor others, create jobs, or support family members and causes. Settling for less out of guilt doesn't elevate anyone. In short, cultural guilt is real and powerful. It tugs on our sense of loyalty, fairness, and empathy. But it's important to realize that your playing small does not serve the world. Wanting more when others have less isn't a moral failing. It can be a driving force to uplift others if handled with awareness. One strategy to ease this guilt is to stay connected to your roots and give back in ways that are meaningful. The first-gen student above concluded that opening up about her struggles with fellow students and involving her family more in her journey helped her feel less alone and less guilty. Surviving can become thriving, and your wins might finally feel guilt-free. By bringing her parents backstage to celebrate her growth, she reframed her success as their success too, rather than a betrayal. This illustrates how honest communication and inclusion can heal the rift that guilt creates. The taboo of wanting more is meant to be broken gently by showing that one person's progress can be a bridge, not a wall, between them and their community. How can we want more out of life without feeling like greedy, ungrateful creatures? The answer lies in reframing ambition as a form of growth or evolution rather than a grab for excess. It's about becoming more of who you're meant to be and using more of your gifts. There's a world of difference between the two mindsets. As Aristotle noted, healthy ambition is a measured striving for excellence, whereas unhealthy ambition is disordered, more akin to greed. Evolution is a natural unfolding of potential. One key to balancing contentment with aspiration is to give yourself permission to pursue growth while still cherishing what you have. It sounds obvious, but many people need to explicitly hear this. You are allowed to want more, not just need more for survival, but want more for your life. More joy, more meaning, more impact, more experiences. Wanting these does not make you a bad or ungrateful person. As a life coach wrote, wanting more isn't a sign of ingratitude, but a sign of something far more profound: honesty. It means you're honest about your inner aspirations and the breadth of life you wish to experience. It creates an internal disconnect, whereas acknowledging what you really want is an act of self-love and integrity. You can appreciate your current blessings and still say to yourself, I deserve to explore my full potential. That perspective shifts ambition from feeling like greed to feeling like self-actualization. Let's break down a few mindset shifts that help reconcile gratitude with expansive ambition. Remember, enough is a moving target. What feels like enough today might not fulfill you tomorrow, and that's okay. Life is not static. This doesn't mean you were ungrateful for the past goal you achieved. It means you mastered that level and are ready for the next. Viewing life as growth stages normalizes the cycle of contentment and renewed desire. As one writer quipped after attaining her long-sought goal, I genuinely believed if I got this thing I wanted, I'd be content forever. But there's so much more I want now. She learned that contentment comes not from the absence of desire, but from appreciating what you have while anticipating what's to come. Gratitude for the present and excitement for the future can comfortably cohabitate. Reframe desire as inspiration, not sin. Instead of viewing your desire for more as a greedy impulse to be subdued, frame it as a guidepost. What is it pointing you toward? Perhaps you want more freedom or creativity that could inspire a career change or hobby. Perhaps you want more connection that could lead you to seek new friendships or community work. Seen this way, your desires are guiding lights pointing you toward a more fulfilling life, not selfish whims. Even material ambitions can often be traced to positive values. E.g., wanting a higher income might connect to wanting security for your family or resources to travel and broaden your perspective. When you dig into the why behind your wants, you often find values like growth, learning, service, or freedom. There's nothing immoral about these. So long as your ambition isn't trampling on others, you can pursue it with a clear conscience. One blog author put it well: wanting more love, ease, or joy doesn't diminish the love or accomplishments you already have. It certainly doesn't mean you're ungrateful for the good in your life. It simply means you're open to even more good. Reframing in this way turns ambition into a celebration of possibility rather than a rejection of the present. When guilt pops up, it can help to pause and ask, where is this feeling really coming from? Is it the voice of a parent, a culture, an old belief that no longer serves you? Often, identifying the source, a past teaching or a social expectation, lets you decide if you actually agree with it. Maybe you realize, for example, that you've been equating ambition with being a bad daughter or son, when in reality your family may ultimately want you to be happy. Challenging the belief might sound like, does wanting to advance my career truly mean I'm ungrateful to my family? Or can it honor their efforts by making the most of the opportunities I have? Aligning with your authentic values gives you internal permission to move forward. A big part of reconciling gratitude and ambition is rejecting black and white, either I'm content or I'm striving thinking. Life is richer when we allow both. You can wake up and acknowledge things you're grateful for and simultaneously feel excited, even a bit nervous, about chasing a new goal. You can love your home and plan for a bigger one without hating the current one. Some people even have a ritual. They list things they're thankful for to ground themselves, then immediately list things they're looking forward to or working toward. This reinforces that contentment and ambition are not mutually exclusive but complementary. As one article clearly stated, gratitude isn't settling for the way things are because you're too scared or lazy to change. Gratitude isn't giving up on your dreams because you're satisfied or comfortable. In fact, real gratitude can give you more courage to pursue your dreams because you operate from a mindset of abundance rather than fear. Redefine ambition as service and growth. Strive for more in ways that expand what's possible for everyone. When you improve your own situation, think of how it can enable you to help family, friends, or community. For example, the entrepreneur who felt guilty about desiring wealth reframed it. Making more money would allow her to employ others, donate to causes, and provide a better life for her kids. In this way, her more became a win-win. Likewise, a personal ambition, say to write a book or become an expert in a field, can be seen as contributing knowledge or inspiration to others. Even the ambition for personal excellence, athletic, artistic, academic, often inspires and uplifts others who witness it. By tying your goals to your values and to positive impact, you'll feel inner permission to pursue them, guilt-free. You're evolving into someone who can give more to the world. Values, identity, and inner permission, embracing the I want more. Truth. Reconciling gratitude with ambition ultimately comes down to an inside job, giving yourself permission to want what you want, crafting a new identity that can comfortably house both gratitude and desire. Many of us wait for outside approval to chase our dreams. But the hard truth is, nobody is going to give you permission to want more. In fact, many will try to talk you out of it. This is why building a strong inner compass is crucial. You must validate your own aspirations. Start by affirming your self-worth. You are worthy of improvement and happiness, not because your life is awful now, but because everyone has a right to pursue fulfillment. Permission to want more emphasizes recognize your worth, embrace your desires, reject guilt, trust your intuition, expand your capacity for joy. These principles serve as reminders that wanting more doesn't make you a selfish person. It makes you an honest one who knows they deserve a full, rich life. When guilt wells up, practice self-compassion and remind yourself that your desire for growth comes from your innate potential, not from greed. It's also helpful to reground in your identity, or perhaps update your identity. If you've always seen yourself as the humble one who shouldn't ask for much, it may be time to evolve that self-image. You can be humble and recognize when you're meant for something bigger. Sometimes we cling to identities that were imposed on us, like the good, content child or the underdog, and they limit what we feel allowed to do. Try to envision an identity that fits who you are becoming. Give yourself an inner title that celebrates both gratitude and growth. This symbolic shift can be powerful. For example, rather than seeing her desire to change careers as a betrayal of her grateful, hardworking persona, a woman might start to see it as an evolution of her true self, an act of aligning her life with her deepest values, which include joy and creativity, not just stability. As famed dancer Martha Graham once said, there is a vitality, a life force, that is translated through you into action, and because there is only one of you, it is unique. If you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and be lost. In other words, the world actually needs you to follow that inner calling. Suppressing it doesn't do anyone any favors. Embracing your evolving identity is part of answering that call. Lastly, practice granting yourself inner permission regularly. One person described the moment she stopped feeling ashamed and realized, I wasn't ungrateful, I was unfulfilled. That reframe that her longing came from a place of purpose, not ingratitude, was the day she gave permission to want more. It can be a gentle yet profound shift. It's okay to want this. Wanting this doesn't make me a bad person. I can be thankful and still strive. Over time, those new beliefs take root, especially if you also take action in small steps. In fact, taking even a tiny step toward your goal can reinforce that it's safe to pursue it. You likely feel more alive. Each step can thus diminish the grip of guilt. To summarize, reconciling the should be grateful versus want more divide involves shifting your perspective and owning your narrative. It's acknowledging that wanting more out of life is not a character flaw, but a natural part of growth. It's understanding that gratitude is not a ceiling on ambition, but a foundation under it. By learning to hold gratitude in one hand and aspiration in the other, we give ourselves the freedom to evolve while staying rooted in appreciation. In this balance lies a truly fulfilling life, one where we honor the present and also honor the call of the future, guilt-free. So, now that you've heard the voice in your head and questioned where it came from, there's one more step I want you to take with me. It's time to define your own version of enough. Not the one you were handed, not the one you inherited, the one that's yours. Take a breath. Let's walk this through together. Start here. Imagine you could delete every external expectation from your life. What would enough look like to your soul? Is it a quiet morning, a creative life, freedom to rest without guilt, work that pays you and respects you? Because here's what I need you to know. Enough isn't a finish line, it's a feeling. You don't arrive at it, you live from it. Pause. Now let's make it real. Pull out your phone. Open a blank note or journal. Title it, My Enough Blueprint. Then finish these 3 prompts. 1. Enough feels like, is it peace, pride, spaciousness? 2. I'll know I'm living in enough when. What does your lifestyle actually look like when you're not chasing or shrinking? 3. More, when I want it, will come from wholeness, curiosity, divine alignment. You don't have to stop growing to be grateful. You just need to grow in a direction that doesn't betray you. Because the real power, it's not in choosing gratitude or ambition, it's in choosing alignment. Let's go deeper, because in the next part, we'll explore how to protect your energy so you don't abandon your vision just to stay comfortable. Moving forward with gratitude and ambition. The tension between gratitude and ambition, that guilt-laden feeling of, I have enough, yet I yearn, is a nuanced emotional landscape. We've seen that this guilt often stems from internalized messages about greed, from fear of change, and from cultural narratives that equate wanting more with being ungrateful. We've also seen that gratitude and ambition are not mortal enemies. Neuroscience and psychology suggest they can fuel one another, and that being thankful doesn't require abandoning your growth. For anyone struggling with this inner contradiction, a powerful starting point is to simply acknowledge it. Name the guilt and examine it. Whose voice is it? What is it protecting you from? And is it telling the truth? Then give yourself permission to envision a life beyond that guilt. Perhaps you'll find that gratitude actually lightens the journey by reducing fear of failure and reminding you of support, while ambition adds excitement and purpose to your days. They can be 2 sides of the same coin. In a world where so many messages either pressure us to hustle harder or conversely to just be thankful and still, the real answer lies in an integrated approach. You should be grateful, not because you must settle, but because gratitude gives you resilience and perspective. And you have a right to want more, not because you're ungrateful, but because growth is the essence of being human and you have gifts to express. So the next time that guilt creeps in when you set a big dream or admit you're unsatisfied, remember this: feeling grateful and desiring growth are not opposites. They are partners in your personal evolution. As one author succinctly put it, Feeling guilty for wanting more only gets you to settle for a mediocre life you don't deserve. Feel grateful for what you have and give yourself permission to want more, then go get it. Embrace that expansive mindset. By doing so, you honor both the beauty of what is and the possibility of what could be without any apology. That is where true fulfillment lives, in the harmony between contentment and aspiration, gratitude and ambition in our hearts.